Charlie nodded, then looked at Orville and Isaac. You two go back. Remember not to tell anyone about this. Mr. Wade, I understand. It is good. Charlie nodded in satisfaction. Seeing that he was almost at the Thompson Villa area, he said to Isaac, Let's land on the golf course. I will walk over the golf course. Okay, master. After Charlie hurried home, Claire couldn't imagine that her husband hurriedly set off from Orus Hill early this morning, went to Chongbai Mountain more than 2,000 kilometers away, at the foot of Chongbai Mountain, and killed 8 villains with blood on their hands. Since Charlie's current strength is very strong, and his physical stamina is even better, so even after tossing such a big circle, she can't see any fatigue at all. It just so happened that it was almost time for lunch, so Claire took him to the vegetable garden in the yard and happily picked a lot of the ingredients she wanted to eat at noon. At this time, the door was pushed open, and Elaine, Charlie's mother-in-law, walked in sneakily from outside with crutches. Seeing Elaine walked into the yard with crutches, she was carrying a huge shoulder bag, which was bulging inside. Charlie felt that her mother-in-law must have done nothing good. Claire looked at her in surprise and asked, Mom, where did you go early in the morning? I haven't seen you. Elaine laughed and said, I went to the wholesale market and bought something. Claire blamed, Mom, you haven't crutched your leg, why are you running around? It's okay. Elaine waved her hand and said indifferently, Don't think it is not convenient for me to use crutches, but I am very used to it now, and my legs don't hurt, and crutches are a bit tired but it's okay. Claire asked again, Mom, what did you buy a big bag of things? Are you tired? I'll hold it for you. Elaine smiled and said, I'm not tired, all of them are hats, it doesn't matter. Hat? Claire was even more puzzled. Mom, why do you buy so many hats? There are no less than a dozen hats in a big bag? Elaine smirked and opened the zipper of the backpack. Claire and Charlie both looked at them, only to find that the backpack was full of emerald green colors. Elaine reached out at this time and took out a few various hats from the inside, all of which were authentic green without exception. Claire was dumbfounded and asked, Mom, why do you buy so many green hats? Who would wear this kind of hat? Elaine laughed and said, I bought 20 various green hats, not for wearing, but for hanging on the balcony. You didn't watch the video of your grandma and the family in the hospital. That damn Noah was actually put on a green hat by Horia. How can I let him go for such a funny thing? It happens that their home can see my bedroom terrace, and I will hang all these hats on the side of the terrace facing their home. I will tell Noah to look at these 20 green hats every day, and he will be so happy. Claire said dumbfounded, Mom, why are you having trouble with the uncle like this? He was already suffered bad enough. Enough ass. Elaine said angrily, you don't know how arrogant he used to be, how bad he was to our family, and now finally grabbing his handle, then I won't laugh at him to death. Charlie shook his head helplessly. Among other things, Elaine's torturing ability is indeed rare in the world. Noah was already disgusting enough. If he could see 20 green hats on the terrace next door every day, his mood must be very painful. It is estimated that Elaine could think of this kind of torture. Claire felt that this was not appropriate, and wanted to persuade Elaine, but Elaine didn't listen to her at all, and went straight into the villa. After returning to room, the first thing she did was to go to the terrace and hung 20 various green hats next to each other, all on the side facing the Wilson family villa. With 20 green hats waving in the wind, this picture is really different and sour. Since coming out of the hospital, Noah has separated from Horia. The reason for the separation is of course that he no longer has any feelings for Horia in his heart. And he felt that Horia was too dirty. Had it not been for Regnar's request, he would have divorced her a long time ago, and even if she didn't go through the divorce procedures, he would kick her out of the house. But now that Regnar had already made his mark for Horia, Noah naturally didn't dare to disobey him. But you can't get a divorce. Separation is always possible, right? So he drove Horia to a bedroom on the first floor. Horia didn't care about it. Although she was a little angry at Noah's unfeeling in her heart, she was still a little guilty deep down. After all, he wore such a big green hat for her, and now with the child in her stomach she hasn't gone to the hospital for an operation. He must see himself very upset. At this moment, Noah just opened his eyes. Since coming out of the hospital, he has been suffering from sequelae, the main manifestation of which is weakness and lethargy. He hasn't really slept enough until now, but in his sleep he always felt a sharp itching in his crotch, so he woke up while scratching it. The itching sensation is very peculiar. At first, it was rather itchy, and then he couldn't control it, and it became very itchy when he scratched it. If he scratched it twice, it would become extremely itchy. So he scratched himself to the extreme. He couldn't help wondering, what happened to him? He's always paid attention to personal hygiene, so there shouldn't be any lesions. He was thinking about it, and he had jumped out of the bed. Feeling dizzy, he walked onto the terrace while scratching it, wanting to breathe fresh air. This is good for living in a villa. The privacy can be well protected. The neighbors are far away and there are no high-rise buildings. Even if you only wear a pair of underwear and walk on the terrace, you don't worry about being seen by others. He came to the terrace, stretched his waist, and then felt the unbearable itchiness even worse.